Okay, this is a reading for Cancer for the fall of 2016. I pre-shuffled, so here we go. In your immediate position, you have 43. Stay strong. So it's almost like there are things going on around you that are challenging you to patience, maybe, anger issues. Something you're needing strength for. So it's almost like, so far, you're coming away okay, so you just need to stay in that position. What is crossing you is here, the Ancient Ones. Usually when I get here, the Ancient Ones, it leads me in a place where we're talking about intuition and being smart from the ages of old, you know, like bringing the past to the present. But I get a sense here, because it's crossing your strength, it's almost like you're just not listening to that, not listening to the instinct, and not listening to maybe some advice that has come at you, some wisdom that has come at you from maybe elders of yours, maybe people who have just given advice. But seeing as it's a challenge, there might be some conflicting energies going on with these Cancers that are really trying to struggle against making the right decision and really not knowing where that sits. So we'll continue on. What floods the reading is making the sacrifice. That's number 27. Kind of a dark looming card. Not really good, because I'm seeing a lot of dark up in the sky, up in the head. So there's a lot of dark thoughts, a lot of dark thinking, and a lot of negativity can be coming through. I mean, when we go on here, I'll explain more. But it seems like there might be something up in your mind that you might have to, one, either sacrifice for, or two, sacrifice and get rid of. And I'm not sure where that sits yet, but we'll carry on here. An energy that is passing away from you is embrace the masculine, number 11. Where's that, 17? There's a light from the camera that's like, I can't, little points I can't see. I think it's 11. Embrace the masculine. So it seems as if there might have been a situation where I'm getting a sense of couples here, and getting a sense that maybe close couples that have been, are, maybe in a power struggle or that kind of a thing, and if it's passing away, it's just something you need to kind of let go of. I don't see it as, oh, you're going to break up and but more of something you need to let go. You just kind of need to drop. So embracing the masculine is something that's passing away from you. So that means that that energy is something you just need to stay less focused on. Doesn't mean you have to reject or refuse. Just have to focus on it. Let it. Put your attention somewhere else, basically, is what I'm getting. So that's the energy that's passing away, is that there's too much focus, I think, on the masculine, and needs to be gone in the other way. If you're a male, and this is your reading for Cancer, I would say that maybe just that sense of maleness in you, it's just you have to maybe veer away from that strong strength, that facade, maleness, that whole stuff that makes things abrasive. I'm seeing it as not such a negative, but in the male-oriented kind of way, it's like, yeah, drop your bravado. Just, be, because Cancer men can be very, they can be very deceiving, because they are very soft, mushy, and gushy, but on the outside they're very, staunch, and they just don't let it down. I mean, and people that know Cancer men know this, is that, yeah, when you get them alone, they're just a little marshmallow, but when you get them out in public, they're just like, they got this shell on them, and it's like boom, 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 things are flying off everywhere. So it's kind of dropping a bit of that facade and just coming out. You don't have to be that marshmallow out in public, but you need to kind of let a little bit of compassion and a little bit of the softer edge there to kind of help with the energies. I feel like it's not doing you any good. And I don't see it as, you know, the closer relationships. I see it as your outside circles. It's just that it's just not working anymore. That hard shell just doesn't transfer well. So getting rid of that bravado. In your near future, time to ground. So a lot of heady stuff, and if you've got some darkness in your head, you got to be careful, because you're going to veer off from that direction. So beware that you have to kind of, you know, dedicate yourself to being in the moment, being outside in the atmosphere, you know. A lot of people are ungrounded, it seems like, in this time. I don't know, through all of the horoscopes here that I'm reading, there's a lot of ungrounded stuff going on. So just basically a lot of head stuff. And I feel with the Cancers is a lot of mental. I mean, it really is about mentality, but I'm feeling it's a lot of stuff that is really, I mean, they're calculating every route, every direction, every, you know, is there an answer to this or not, you know, every little nook and cranny they're going into, and they're not absorbing the moment, you know, they're really thinking off in directions about what if this happens, what if that happens, and so just you know, drop a lot of that and just be in the moment and just absorb the moment, and things will unfold ahead of you when they need to. The next card that I have in your distant future is be vigilant. So staying strong and being vigilant. So there's something that you're looking out for, something that you're watching for, something that you're paying attention to, and it seems like you're going to continue to do so near into the future. I think if you get rid of all of these wild, I don't want to say fantasies, but wild ideas of things going on, I feel like that is really on the darker side of things, and I think that you may be on the wrong track there. But I'll continue. So being vigilant is just seeing in your future here, you're going to really be paying attention, excuse me, paying attention and watching and waiting for when to make your move. That's really what I get the sense of here for Cancers. Along the path, we have see the truth. Now, so when I'm thinking about all of these things going on in their head, I'm not too sure about the percentage of what is right and what is wrong, and I'm not too sure about the percentage of what is valid and what is not. So, I mean, in a sense of right and wrong, but what kind of a world are they living in? I think there's a vast difference from left to right. They're going through all the options here. A lot of stuff going on where these thoughts are going from A to Z, and you just, it's not all negative, it's not all positive, but it's got a good mix of everything there. So just be aware to look for facts and not make up fiction. Love that you were different. That little guy again. So, getting a sense that these Cancers may be sitting there going, not wanting to really, how do you say, unsmooth the waters. They're not wanting to make waves. So, they're trying to really sit back and wait for their moment to strike, in a sense. I know that love that you're different is kind of a weird, but I'm going off intuition here. Definitely, you know, being vigilant and knowing that you're different. It's almost like you're holding back some information and just waiting for the right time to approach. The next card is know your fears. So along your path here, you've got some things you need to conquer in the way of fears, but And I don't know that that's not connected to the truth. I feel like there's part of you that my fears are this, but in reality, you have a lot more fears than you are aware of. You have a lot more fears than you are aware that you do. And I think that is part of the truth that you need to see, is that there's really a lot more going on here than just what you're seeing. And so that's what you kind of have to dig for. And part of loving that you're different is really accepting yourself for who you are and in that truth, right? These two kind of work together, because it's like once you realize your truth, then you stand up for it and you go, well, I may not be like everyone else, but I can still stand out. And this is my truth, and this is where I'm going and where I'm headed. So you just go in that direction. So some conquering of fears, but I don't know that you will along the way figure out what those are, what those fears are. I think you may be in a bit of a bind there, trying to understand that, narrow it down, suss it out. You know, I don't know that you'll be able to exactly see that truth of your fears. You know, because I think you know what you fear in the obvious sense, but there are fears that are holding you back from things that you have yet to uncover. And I think that's really the bottom line of where maybe a lot of this vigilance and watching and waiting is in reaction to a fear that you have of something happening. You know, I can't really narrow it down too much because it's a broad reading, but almost like these fears are what causing you to really look and scope and take in all this stuff and wait to react, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it's just you got to figure out, you know, the root of these fears so that you can get rid of that. And your end result card is Nourish the Soul. So I remember doing a reading for Cancers a while back, and they were just movers and shakers and going everywhere and needed to slow down. So I get a sense now that it is the same idea, but it shouldn't be as harsh, because I feel like a lot of you have. A lot of you have gone into that, well, I'm trying. This don't feel right, but I'm trying. It's boring, but I'm trying. So the next time you go to nourish your soul, you can do it in a more acceptable, applicable way. And by applicable, I mean in a way that is instantly rewarding to you. Like, it won't feel like such a chore. It won't feel like such, you know, so far off the beaten path that you're on. You know, it'll feel a little more comfortable, and then you'll continue to get into that, nourishing your soul, being in that moment where you can enjoy things for the pleasure of it, not because you have to do it to gain something, you know, that like money or, you know, the job type thing. So yeah, that was yeah, there's a little bit of waiting and watching with these Cancers. I think they're a little ungrounded and a little fearful, but they're receding from making any decisions, which is good because they're not being harsh. And at the same time, I'm not sure how it'll turn out, other than they just need to take their time and enjoy the moment and ground out. A little bit of looking toward yourself and realizing things about your own self and your own, not your own worth. I think Cancers have a sense of worth, but your own truth within that ability to have your own self-worth. I think there's some untruths that you may have been telling yourself, and you just need to dig and flatten those out, because they're a little wonky. They're not quite in the right spots. I think there's there's some fears that you're just not aware of, or denying yourself or whatever. So you need to figure out what those are, and you'll really it will really beat a path forward for you, where you feel, because I get a sense that you guys are feeling like you're kind of stuck, but you're not. You're just in limbo, and limbo is when you get to self-reflect. And even though you haven't done that yet, in the definition of self-reflect, you haven't done that, you're warming up to it, and you're going to get to a point where you can do this, and that's all they can ask of you, because you guys are just moving around too quick. So that's all they can ask you right now, and that's all you're doing, and you're giving. So that's the next step, right? So as a clarification card, I pulled the animal, the weasel. It says, be silent, pay attention, and simply observe with your eyes, ears, and physical feelings what is happening inside and all around you. So again, that self-reflection. I push that a lot because I'm going through it myself, and I'm finding that it may not help in all ways, but it sure will help down the road. And I know that there's things that are hard to open and hard to get at, but I know that the more you work on them, the more they advance for you. And I feel like there's a lot of waiting and watching for these guys. I mean, cancers, they're doing, I get the sense they're doing the right thing. They're just, their thoughts process while they're doing this is a little wonky, is what's off. So they got to be aware, and pay attention to who's in your moment, who's in your face, who you're dealing with. And when you do that, a lot of these things that are roaming around in your head will be answered, I feel. Like, because these cancers aren't in the moment, they're releasing a lot more questions than they would if they were in the moment and being engaged, in not necessarily like they're not engaged in conversation, but more mindful, more deep, more, that kind of thing. So overall, not a hugely bad reading, just a lot of, waiting and watching and being vigilant, needing to ground, needing to tame the thoughts down. Thoughts are getting out of control, and needing to kind of, turn your attentions a little bit. You can still be vigilant about whatever it is that you're wanting to be vigilant about, whether it's work, romance, whatever. Work, romance, that's pretty much it. And the rest is life, family life, right? But when you're looking at that, you need to just kind of take your time and veer away from the seriousness and kind of look at what feeds your soul. Try and nourish your soul. I mean, it really does help relax things, and sometimes in that relaxation the answers come. And I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions for these cancers, but waiting and watching is not a bad thing. It's just to be patient, and they are patient, but it's got to take its toll. I think this process has got to work its way out. I feel like the fall is just kind of a little bit of a limbo for the cancers. They're just kind of hanging, just hanging a little bit. Like I said, needing the ground and realizing a few things about themselves. But I don't think that's going to come easy. It's not like they can just introspect like a Gemini can go in and go, oh yeah, I got it all figured out. No, that's not, cancers don't do that as well. It takes them a while to kind of get in there and get the reins right, and get everything going in the right direction. So with the weasel, you just being vigilant and being silent, paying attention, ready to accept things that are going inside. Being aware too of your feelings, I think, is a big one for cancers. Is just to really, I would say that's the first step on the second road here that we're going on. Being aware of your feelings. Why am I sad? Why am I mad? Is it truly what I think it is? And I think that's where you'll uncover some truths. If you be honest with yourself, because there's a lot of that chatter going on, a lot of lying to ourselves in order to make it make sense to us. But sometimes it's the chaos and the not making sense that really is the reason behind. And so that's a little bit of the gameplay there. But anyway, so that is the Cancer reading for the fall of 2016. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care and be kind and have fun.